just gonna let it warm up for a couple of minutes, and we're gonna shut it off. So we want to make sure when we have it hooked up with the muss here that we got good water flow, which we do here. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll just let it warm up for a couple of minutes. Then we're gonna shut it off. Now let it sit for maybe 10 minutes. I'm gonna check the oil and make sure that the oil levels are good. That seems to run pretty good. Just shut the hose off, and we'll look at the small one next. Just gonna prime the bulb up. These things will usually smoke a fair bit the first startup of the year because we have engine storage spray, and we have a bunch of additives that we dumped into the motor itself just to store it for the winter. So we'll see how many pulls it takes. Two pulls, and we got water. So I mean, it smokes a little bit, but I mean, we just gotta let that storage spray burn out of the cylinder, and let the fuel run through it. That's all new gas and that we have in it as well. So we'll do a video later on in the year, but I mean, we have an external tank for the Tohatsu, plus we have an internal. We keep this one usually just empty, and we run the external tank, and that way if we ever needed it for the big motor, we have 3 gallons just of clean gas, separate container. It seems to be running pretty good. Let's let it idle, and then we'll check the oil as well. Spotless right now. Just gonna check the oil. We just have to wipe it off just because there's oil up the dipstick from starting it. And we'll put it back in, and it seems to be in the crosshatch, so it's good. The lower probably third of the crosshatch. So what we'll do is maybe we'll take it out and we'll try it one time, and we'll test it just to make sure. We may have to add just a little bit. You don't want to overfill these things, or obviously underfill them. So we'll just keep an eye on that. It's within the acceptable range right now. So we had a little problem there. Just in order to check the oil, we couldn't get the motor tilted all the way down, so just used a shovel, and we just dug a little hole into the driveway just so we could get it straight up and down vertical. Check the oil in the Tohatsu. Stuff's pretty hard to see in the bright sunlight when it's clean.
Especially when it's clean oil.
Just wipe it off, put it back in, screw it on, and we'll take a look-see.
It is at the top of the full mark.
Good. She's ready to go.
These little Tohatsus are super simple to work on.
Yeah, so we're just going to put the cover on. And we got that guy new last year, and been super impressed with it. And Tohatsu makes all the Mercuries. I think under 30 horse and under Mercs, Tohatsu makes them. Tohatsu's made them since, I don't know, made motors since the 1950s and that, so they're pretty reliable.
Yeah, they're an old Japanese brand.
Yeah, so
they're super simple, and they're a good value motor.
Yeah, and this thing, even at for when we're salmon or trout fishing, we're doing 2.5 miles an hour. We're probably running maybe a third RPM in it, and it's doing probably about 250 mils of gas an hour, which is, amazing. So I mean, as a comparison for the Merc at idle, that 90 horse will do, I think it's 1.8 liters, which is just over half gallon an hour at idle. So this thing's a heck of a lot better. So we really notice it in the midsummer when we're doing lots of trolling, and we don't go through nearly as much gas as we used to. Just a simple reminder, after you're done servicing the motor and running it up yourself, make sure you take the muffs off. I remember an old mechanic that had some repairs he had to do on a motor that some people did themselves, and I guess at the time they couldn't get water to run through it when they took the boat into the water, and what they realized was that they left the muffs on the motor. So make sure you take those off. I don't think I'd want to pay for a repair for this one.
All right, well, we ran both of the outboard motors. They both seem to run fine. We checked the oil. You added a little bit to the big Merc, and a little tohatsu, it's still okay. Yeah, this one here, it's just we changed the oil and oil filter, so the filter had to fill up. And everything else, the electronics all seem to work, so all that's left is to take it on the water and make sure that it doesn't sink. Thanks for watching.